Hello all. Let's discuss the acts which were introduced by the British government in between 1773 to 1947. Let's actively recall each one of them. Let's start with 1773. The Regulating Act of 1773 introduced the concept of Governor General of Bengal. The Governor General was renamed to Governor General of Bengal, and the Supreme Court was introduced in the year 1774. Through this act, the Governor General of Bengal was made superior to the governors of Bombay and Madras presidencies. Then we have the Executive Council was formed with 4 members, and the uh, the the East India Company, which was looking after the business, is not allowed to privately trade with the people or to accept any bribes from the people. And then the the act also introduced the concept of court of directors, who are the members of East India Company, to look after the revenue, civil, and the military affairs of the uh, territory of territory in India. Then we have uh, then we have the Act of 1781. In this 1781, this is amending Act of 1781, in which the faults of 1773 are covered. In the 1781, the Supreme Court, which was made to deal with the issues, were prohibited from dealing with the issues of Governor General of Bengal and the Executive Council. Then the Supreme Court was also stopped to look into the matters of revenue, and which are considered to be considered to be only part of Governor General of Bengal and the Executive Council. Then we also the Supreme Court was only made to focus only into the uh, religious and the social matters of the country, and any issues with the subordinate governors in other presidencies are taken to the Governor General of Bengal or the Executive Council, but not into the Supreme Court. And the Governor General of Bengal and the Executive Council were given powers to make any changes or reforms or laws for the governors of other presidencies. Now let's go to the other act, that is the Charter Act of 1784. No, it's the Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act 1784. Okay, the Pitt's India Act 1784. In this, the administration and the commercial parts of the East India Company are separated. There's the commercial parts of the East India Company is taken care of court of directors, and the administrative part are considered by the board of directors. And in this way, the dual government was formed in the country. And next, the what was there? The territory of East India Company is considered to be British possession, and then the British government had a control of the East India Company affairs over its revenue, civil, and military affairs. This is 1784 Pitt's India Act. Then we'll go with 1786, uh, the Amending Act of 1786. In this, the Lord Cornwallis became the Governor General of Bengal. He asked for the um, overriding power of the Executive Council, and that was given in the 1786. And the commander-in-chief position was asked by the Lord Cornwallis. So this is also provided in this Act of 1786. Then we'll have the Charter Act of 1793. So let's go with this. The Charter Act of 1793. In this 1793, the overriding powers of the Cornwallis was extended to all the other governor generals of Bengal. And in 1793, the trade monopoly was extended for 20 more years for the East India Company, and the board of directors were asked to take salaries from the Indian revenue, and the subordinates, that are the Bombay and the Madras presidencies, were uh, the powers of both these presidencies were taken by the Governor General of Bengal. This is the Act of 1793, the Charter Act of 1793. Then we have 1813. In this 1813, the trade monopoly was removed, but the trade monopoly was continued with the trade with China and with cotton. uh, no, not cotton, tea and trade with China. Then we have the Christian missionaries were allowed, and then Western education was imparted. The act also introduced the uh, imposition of tax over the locals, and if there is any uh, skipping of tax, then they were given punishment. Then we also add uh, uh, the British government had asserted its control or sovereignty over the territories of East India Company in India. So these are the Charter Act of 1813. So let's go with the next act, that is Charter Act of 1833. The Charter Act of 1833. In this, the Governor General of Bengal is converted to the Governor General of India, and William Bentinck became the first Governor General of India. And in this, the governors of Bombay and Madras are much more deprived for their powers, and the the Governor General of India got exclusive legislative powers over the British India, and the the governor the Act 8 of 1833, the Charter Act of 1833, tried to introduce the open competition for the civil servants, but the Court of Directors denied it, so that was properly not executed in the Charter Act of 1833. And the East India Company completely removed the commercial activities and only focused on administrative activities in 1833. So this is the Charter Act of 1833. Let's go with the Charter Act of 1853. Now let's go with the Charter Act of 1833. In this Charter Act of 1833, the for the first time, the Executive Council of the Governor General of India was divided into Legislative Council and Executive Council, and this Legislative Council is increased with 6 members, and this Legislative Council is called the Central Legislative Council, and the East India Company's position was continued till the trust of British Crown, and the local representation was started with the legislative councils, and the open competition for civil servants was also introduced in the Starter Act of 1833.